First of all, why should you listen to me? There's a lot of people that call themselves marketing experts out there, a lot of 20-year-olds running Facebook ads like swipe up and I'll give you this free training. All that is bullshit. Only thing that matters is somebody's track record. I have driven over $200 million in startup exits. Many of them were growth hacked with very little marketing budget. I've spent literally 20 years doing this. I wrote every single strategy that's ever worked for me into a book, which is a boring textbook, but it will make you rich. It's called the Startup Growth Book. I have a lot of content on the internet. I went hard on the gram and LinkedIn for many years. And now I really just am a fractional CMO for recently funded seed stage startups in Silicon Valley. Um, but everything is Googleable, and that's really the difference of somebody just talking about it and someone being about it. I have a podcast where I interview recently funded founders and give them free marketing advice on the fly. You can listen to that and also get very deep insight. If you scroll through the 50 or so examples, I mean, industry episodes, you should find something relevant to your industry. I guess I should be a good. Oh, sorry. There's the book if you're interested. Um, okay. First thing I always want to start out in is talking about mindset. A lot of founders are product focused. I think that was mostly what I heard from the few people that were able to tell me about their company. And that's usually where marketing mistakes happen is, people think product-led growth is just going to take off on its own. But there is a few mindset stuff and a few other things we're going to talk about before we get into the actual strategy. So, first thing is in the projects that I've worked with, which is in like the several dozen, there's gaps between successful founder and not successful founder. And over again, I see these patterns. And the first thing before I get into any of this is we're building something to help people. Even if we're selling to the insurance industry, no offense, versus trying to solve, obviously for Sharon's company, trying to solve PTSD for our most vulnerable populations that have put their life on the line for the country. That's obviously a mission-driven company from the beginning. But every project you're working on needs to be for the greater good of humanity and to help people, even if it's a small little thing in your mind as the founder, pushing yourself. It's insurance agencies wasting tons of time, or real estate companies are able to put extra food on the table for their because they're wasting time with this thing that could be easily automated. We're always trying to help make the world a better place. And if our product does that better than anyone else, then we need to be very aggressive with the marketing. Aggressive, the word sounds negative if you're selling a fucking negative thing. Pardon my language, but this is how we talk. So in the beginning, we need to get aligned as founders and team that we are trying to save people from this one little problem, and then we can get very aggressive with the marketing. Our user experience and the satisfaction of our customers is paramount to everything, but if we are getting positive signals in that, then we need to be aggressive with the marketing and go get more of those potential people to help. I'm always trying to work with founders to switch from, sorry, Oakland, from a ask to an offer. We are trying to help these enterprise level real estate companies because they're stuck in the old school. We're not saying, hey, please use our platform, right? Second thing, or third or fourth, whatever thing I see founders that are successful versus unsuccessful is we're reactionary, we're not preventative. Meaning, when I work with teams and founders like, we can't test that. I don't want to, an investor might get, we might get sued over this. I mean, we don't want to do anything illegal. You'll never hear me say anything that is outwardly illegal and suggest that. But again, if we're really confident that we're helping people, and I might even have time to get into some multi-million dollar examples of this, but if we're really confident that we're helping people, then we can just take some risks. Nobody cares about your little startup. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a cease and desist letter if you use a trademark or if you hack. One major part of growth hacking is hacking into existing communities, and that could be gray hat a little bit, but we want to take risks and react to data, not be preventative, right? There is no such thing as a stupid idea when it comes to marketing. Um, you know, Sharon, standing outside of the uh, veterans building and testing product with people right there and videotaping their reaction in real time could be the actual hyper growth thing for you, to getting raising a ton of money or whatever. So many of my most successful growth strategies have started over a beer with the engineering team. Friday night, people are stuck in the office back in the day when we worked in offices, and just spitballing ideas like a kid in the boardroom. Like, I don't really know at the time what's fully feasible with the code and whatever, but can we do this? Can we do this? No, no, no. Oh, wait, that's actually a really good idea. Let's try that. And then boom, it turns out to be an amazing thing. So these are just core mindset things if you're going to get into growth. The next thing I want to talk about is the biggest area where other marketers make mistakes. It's what I have coined the term marketing foundation. Every founder I work with is like, we need to grow, we need to scale. No, everything's good, Andrew. Our website's great, the product is, everything is great. No, we need to just go get more users. And then when I land, I poke holes in all of that and find that there's a ton of foundational elements that need to be optimized in order to 10x all of those growth campaigns. And this is just a couple elements of that. But the first thing is finalized and optimized messaging. A lot of times founders are just throwing it out there. We do AI voice for hotels, and that's what it says above the fold on the website when it can be optimized, much more keyword dense. Somebody needs to mute hearing clicks, and or it could be focused on the value prop and not the keywords. We need to test that. We need to discuss that internally. The next thing is conversion rate optimized website design. A lot of founders, designers, Webflow, vibe coding, whatever you're doing, WordPress to make your website, it might not be with the thought process of a marketer from the very beginning. And conversion rate optimization has a bunch of different things into it. I could make a whole hour long talk about just that. But the shortest quick excerpt of it is you want H1 text that makes someone intrigued, a little bit vague. You want a semi subtitle underneath that. You want 1 to 2 call to actions, and then a very minimalized header menu bar because I want them to understand the value quickly and be able to push themselves down the funnel. So we want to optimize that. If you're a mobile product, it's different, but you don't really need much website work to be done. You want almost a non-scrollable site that just pushes people to download your app. And then again, I'm making a very quick cover of this, but you want your social strategy. You want to be posting regularly. Even if you're B2B software company, it doesn't matter. You still want the validation for ChatGPT, for Grok, Perplexity, Google, everyone, and individual users. If you're doing outreach or running ads, they'll go. We are all regular people. At the end of the day, you check your favorite social media to see if a company's active. And if they're not there, you don't trust it. It's the same as nice web design. So you don't need to waste a lot of time. We're going to go through, if I have time, how to hack social media and at least be posting regularly on every page without spending a lot of time on it. And the same with your search marketing. You want to have the right keyword density. You want to know what keywords you want to focus on. You might want to launch a bunch of sub pages that have conversational terms um, instead of just keywords, which my next book actually coming out in January is all about GEO, generative engine optimization, which is what I was saying here is a big part of it is we release content that has the answers that ChatGPT is looking for when our customers are asking questions. Again, that could be a whole nother 1 hour talk, but you want your search marketing, your social to be in place. If you're not done with at least these things, you're not ready to grow your company, okay? The other reasons that I've seen founders fail at marketing, especially when they're like in the very early stage, like pre-funding, which I think most people might be here, is I have this term I call the 80-20 rule of marketing. And somebody else might use a different one that's 80-20, but for me is I see companies spend 80% of their time making their product and only 20% time, budget, whatever, marketing it. And then assuming that there's isn't a market or we need to pivot or whatever. I like to switch that. spend 20% of time, whatever your 4x the time you spent building it, marketing it until you give up on it, or and you need to adequately test multiple channels. That's why we're going to go through several channels. The other thing is finding product market fit is always harder than the founder thinks. Sharon thinks the PTSD might be for the military, but selling to the military is very difficult. I have a recruitment agency where we do government recruitment contracts. And even though my business is majority owned by a service disabled veteran, we get prioritized. It's still very hard to sell to them. So you would be surprised. You might be surprised when the market punches you in the face and you have to pivot multiple times. So you want to know how to do organic marketing, which we're going to talk about, because if you just are like 90% of marketers or founders just throwing money at marketing, one, you get bad data from paid user acquisition. If you skip over the stuff that I just talked about, then you don't actually have a marketing foundation that will convert people from paid ads. Because if I see you, we all do it. You see an ad, you click on the company, like let's say on Instagram, and it turns out they only have a Facebook page and they look like shit and you just don't trust it and you go away. Those are companies that are just throwing money at it. Like, let's see if people resonate with this message, but they're not doing that hard work in the beginning that we talked about. And so I see this time and time again. It takes much more effort than founders expect to really hit that product market fit. So that's an area. And then that's what I'm saying. My whole book, my career, everything is about teaching teams to start out organic. Even if we have the money, it's a proven track record. Finalize marketing foundation, launch growth organically. Could be partnerships, social, content, outreach, influencers, all the above. And then when we figure out what works, messaging, platform, type of content, who the customer is, where they're responding best to, what is the wedge that is really getting them to convert, then you can scale up with paid user ac and almost never waste any money, if that makes sense. So for the Indians on the call, this is a term I coined while living in Dubai with a lot of Desi friends. But I came up with the term return on time investment. So it's not roti. If you're not Indian, it doesn't matter. But anyway, for me, return on time investment is very important for founders at the early stage pre-funding to think about. What I've noticed is once you get the money, you're very tight with it. You don't want to waste any of the money. But before that, with your time budget, which you have less of, if you think about it, you and Jeff Bezos have the same amount of hours in a day. Yes, he can pay people to 10x himself, but still, your time is more scarce in the early stage. So the number one thing I hear after these kinds of talks and workshops is, what do I do first, Andrew? Like, this is all great, but how do I execute all of this if I'm a one-woman show? And the answer is you need to spread your time budget evenly in the beginning and then test and optimize based on what's getting you the best return on your time investment. And so I want you to think of your time investment in marketing. It could literally be like, I'm going to block an hour a day for this strategy, an hour on Tuesday for this strategy, and then I'm going to go back at the analytics and see what paid off, and then I'm going to optimize. And if you do that, by the time you have the money raised, you will already know what strategies to focus on. You will know what brings you the most return on investment, and you can spend money very wisely. Okay. That still doesn't make it any easier to figure out what to focus on. As founders, I don't know why it's lopsided image there, but basically there's a million different channels. So it's impossible for me to make a blanket talk that just applies to everyone. But over and over again, these are the channels I get the most questions from early stage founders on. This is where I can create, I think, the most value for you. And I'm going to go very rapid fire through all of this. And again, if you have questions, put it in the chat. I will get back to all of it at the end. I think we have 15 minutes or so, unless I keep going and talking. So first thing is, I hate social media. I worked in B2C originally. I was ex-Tinder. I drove a $200 million two-sided marketplace before Facebook Marketplace was around. It was like that in the Middle East. And I love B2C, but it's much more difficult as a marketer. And so the last 8 or 10 years of my life, I've almost exclusively worked with B2B software companies. Even then, you still need to do social media. But when I work or consult or coach or teach a B2C founder, or consumer app, mobile app, whatever it might be, the number one thing that stresses out marketing teams and slows them down is worrying about social media. When I have interns at my company, Growth Experts, the number one thing when I'm interviewing is like, I want to get into social media. And I try to explain to them, it's not a differentiation as a marketer. Everybody needs to know how to do social media. And majority of the traffic and metrics is all vanity garbage. But you're oversold that you need to be a creator and you need to do this and that, and you can grow your business without any social, but you need to post, you need to be active, at least posting a couple times a week on every page. That sends signals to Google, Perplexity, Grok, whatever, that you're a legitimate business and you should be ranked higher when people are looking for your content. Also, it legitimizes you like web design to a prospect. Oh, wow, they're active. So what I coach people to do is to hack social media content creation by batching your content 1 day per month and scheduling it across all channels, and then using that extra time to be active off of your own pages to discover your customers, people with your pain points. So creating a social media strategy sounds boring and stupid. Obviously, with ChatGPT, it's very easy now. What you can do is use a note-taking tool. It can just record all of your meeting notes and you can feed that content into ChatGPT. And hey, I've just shared tons of gold over the last 30 calls with people. Make me a bunch of Twitter posts. Make me a bunch of LinkedIn posts that end with a call to action to check out my website. So it's very easy to do this text stuff. The video, what I like to do is, again, upload that content into ChatGPT or just take notes after a call myself. I don't do this anymore myself, but you should to get to where you need to be, tens of thousands of followers, known. It makes investing easier. A lot of stuff will come inbound the more noise you make, at least on LinkedIn and otherwise. But you can then ask it for prompts for 20. I want to make 20 videos, 60 seconds about, along this strategy of talking about my product, talking about the problem I want to solve, talking about the features, talking about the pain points, whatever it might be, value add for that audience. And then, like I said, 1 day a month, you sit down. It literally can be at the computer. Like when you have a lot of value in your message, nobody cares about the quality. There's a million tools now. One is called One Take AI. That you upload shitty video that you made and it beautifies it with a virtual background. And so you almost don't need a studio or anything. The tool I recommend, there's hundreds out there, later.com, later.com for scheduling that content. 15 bucks a month. You can post everywhere. You don't have to think about it. And then with that, your time is freed up. You don't have to worry about social media. You're probably not going to get a lot of return on time investment, like I talked about earlier. That's why I like to hack it and do it quickly. But what you should do instead is join every group, every subreddit, every LinkedIn group, every Quora question, follow all the hashtags on LinkedIn and any Facebook group, meetup group, anywhere where there are people chatting, meeting, talking about the problem or the solution that you provide. And then you can, even down here at the bottom left, I have an example of a YouTube comment. There's a whole strategy around YouTube commenting because it's a Google-owned product. You can actually post a URL and you can get traffic from that. What you do is you go to YouTube, you search for the thing that you want to offer to your customers that maybe your customer might search. So PTSD solutions for military veterans. The top video that comes up, you comment on that, you will get traffic from that because the number one video on YouTube for that search term is going to have a lot of traffic. And then it's targeted, and a lot of us immediately scroll down to the comments. And if it was a comment like, this is a problem I've been dreaming of solving, that's why we invented blah, blah, blah product, check it out, and you will get signups from that. It takes 2 seconds. Same thing on Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. You can search by keyword or hashtag and discover lots of people complaining about the problem that you solve or self-identifying themselves as your target. And that time spent on social media does have a strong return on investment. If you spend an hour a day being active on those hashtags, those groups, you will become very known by your target demographic in a few months with very little time spent. You should be able to get customers, followers, targeted, all that as well. Um, I kind of brushed over LinkedIn marketing for businesses nowadays. I mean, the two strategies channels that are most important to the companies I'm working with are blowing up on LinkedIn and coming up on ChatGPT and Google. Those are the two main areas. And so for LinkedIn marketing, again, I should have a course and a workshop just on this, but LinkedIn marketing is about five different things. It's not just posting every day on your own page, which again, like I just talked about, is a massive waste of time to organically think of a new post every day. You will not get a lot of exposure unless you're spending money on content, I mean, on promotion. Um, Even me, I have 20,000 followers or something on LinkedIn, and that's from running ads. As soon as we started running ads, it shot up quite a bit because these are the multi-billion dollar platforms for a reason. They're not giving you shit for free, right? So you still do need to create a strategy, be regularly posting on the company page and the founder page. You can spend really low budget LinkedIn ads. And I do believe secretly behind closed doors, you're getting a better algorithm for if you're spending even a little bit of money. But when I say LinkedIn ads, what I mean is there's a beautiful thing in LinkedIn that you can write out all the actual company names you want to target. So you know 20 or 50 potential. I mean, again, this is more for B2B companies, but even if you're B2C, it could be wholesalers if you have a physical product or whatever it is. Could be partners, could be investors. You can utilize this strategy. Um, but you can upload, you can list out the company names you want to target and then the roles in the company, and that ad will only show to those people. You can frequency cap it so it's not overly annoying, but you can spend $100 a month on that. If it's 100 companies and three roles, it's only 300 people, and they see your stuff everywhere. And then when you reach out to them, they have no idea that you targeted them. So I like doing that. Like I mentioned about posting the groups and comments, super important. Doesn't always get a huge result. I had like one video of a guy working late night in a salsa bar on his computer get like 300,000 impressions on a LinkedIn group. But sometimes you get zero. But I have an intern on my team always share content from my podcast into those groups, and you get followers out of it, whatever. But um, automating connections and DMs is probably the most powerful thing that you can do on LinkedIn. Of course, LinkedIn says it's not allowed. I'm still around. My profile is still around. 7 years of automating messages out to founders through LinkedIn. You need to there, I'll go through a tool. Do I talk about it? There it is. Duck Soup is the actual tool that I use. It's a 10-year-old company. It's $50 a month. You can automate LinkedIn messages. So there's no AI, there's no bubble, there's no bullshit of all the newest companies that a 19-year-old kid made in the UK or whatever. And this tool really works. And so for $50 a month, you can automate messages to your target and grow your following. They don't always respond, but you're growing your following as well. This is what a campaign of mine looks like, literally, and it'll send this 1 day, 3 day, 2 day, 2 days later. And yeah, I probably got three clients through this year for a $50 a month tool. So the next thing that's really important is validating your business by getting you earned media in your target, your niche. Like, where do your consumers? So, forgive me, I think his name was Andrew, the enterprise real estate guy. Um, Obviously, real estate media, super targeted. Not all of them consume that, but those are great keyword dense URLs that will point to you and will really validate you when a customer you're reaching out to searches. So you can craft a valuable story about how you're, hopefully some founders on the team have a real estate background and they had this problem that nobody else could solve. And so we built these agents that do this thing. So you craft a valuable story. Again, ChatGPT can do most of the work for you. You should edit it and never use something that's just from ChatGPT, but like copy paste. But then you're going to slowly but surely build a PR database. Then you're going to distribute it, and then you're going to learn how to talk to the media. And I'm going to run through all of this without passing out very quickly. So writing a press release, I don't even need to go through this anymore. ChatGPT does it, but coming up with a title and subtitle is some of the most important thing for you. Some tips on writing good titles. It's just got to be short, value packed, a little bit vague in the subtitle. We want them to, I mean, in the title, and we want them to read the article. You're pitching out to media. And again, I should have said this at the beginning. Everything in marketing is about value for the other person. I tell this to single friends who are trying to date or someone trying to get a job. If you think more about the value for the other person, your life gets really easy. All the most successful people I know here in the Bay Area are not takers, they're givers. And I try to embody that in marketing as well. We are trying, with regards to the PR, it's not a please, will you cover my business? It's we've got this amazing story. I think your readers would benefit from learning about it. Do you want to work together? And I've gotten massive PR opportunities this year for free. I've gotten, not this year, but in previous years, a client on television on fucking NBC, a 20-year-old founder here in East Bay, um, to talk about his product on NBC in the morning. And so, I mean, Inc. magazine, Forbes, TechCrunch, dozens of times, all by earning it. You can pay, and I'm sure we all get those spam messages where you can spend 5 grand and then you get maybe a link from Forbes or TechCrunch or something, but it's much better when you earn it, just like everything else. And so you want to be asking yourself, is this valuable to the person that I'm pitching? Oh, and then we don't need to go over that example. This is the fun part. I want everyone on this
Hey,
call.
hey,
So, okay, the most valuable thing I think I'm going to talk about today is I want you to every day passively be building a list, a multi-page list, a multi-tab list of people you want to contact when you're ready. And it's going to look like this. This is going to sound stupid, but it's the most powerful thing. It's a resource and an asset that you will keep with you for the rest of the lifetime of your business. You want to first think about all the avenues that your business is related to. It's related to tech, it's related to the Bay Area, it's related to real estate, it's related to female founder, whatever it might be. These are all story avenues. There are people that want to talk about stories around that thing, and they have niche media, podcasts, events, conferences, influencers, YouTubers, reporters, writers, blogs, whatever it might be in those avenues. And I'm going to show you how to find them with that very passive, small time investment, and then find their contact info and slowly but surely build a list. You can go on Fiverr, you can purchase a list, you can, um, you know, find a partner that has a large list. But this is really powerful because, again, you're spending 20 minutes a day. I'm going to show you how. And then you're building this list that eventually is in the hundreds, if not thousands, and you have something you can use for partnerships to when you want to launch a new product, when you're fundraising, and it adds value to the company because you have all these contacts. So this is what it's going to look like. How do we build this, Andrew? You're going to go to alerts.google.com. You can also passively just go to Google News and you're going to search I guess I was in Thailand when I made this, but you're going to search, excuse me, for the keywords that you want your content to get into. So I'm just going to keep focusing on the real estate example, enterprise real estate or real estate AI, real estate software, real estate news, whatever it is. You're going to find all of the real estate news is probably the best one there. All the news outlets that are covering real estate related stories, like, hey, this AI tech company in the Bay Area launches agents to help commercial real estate agents save 500 hours a year, whatever it is. That's probably somewhere around what your story would be. But you enter in these keywords and then you get an email every day with content that's recently been added to the internet without you having to search for it with those keywords in it. It's unbelievably valuable for discovering potential partners, big conferences, reporters, writers, podcasts, everything without having to search for it. So you can let those emails flow into your inbox and then have that 20-minute block to just go through and check them really quick. And then I'm going to show you how to get the email off of that. So this is an example of a writer reporter. Almost 75% of the time, they have their email address when you hover over their name on the article. 100% of the time is their Twitter, which let's see if I have it on here. Then you can just tweet to the person, hey, what's your email? I have a story for you. Because again, that's value for them. If nobody knows who Anna Heim is, I hope she's still there. She's the lead startup writer at TechCrunch. So 2021, got in touch with her via Twitter, and she's written about my book. She's covered several of my clients totally for free. Because again, I'm trying to create value for her. She wants a source to make her job easier. Hopefully, there's nobody with this background on the call, but they're pretty much the laziest people in the world as a reporter. I mean, their job is almost completely gone, and they are just like like if you when you get a reporter, I'll give you an example, to write an article about your company, you'll get a 15, maybe 20-minute phone call. They won't take notes and then they'll write it and they won't make any changes once it's published and you might get a hyperlink. So they're not the best people to work with, but it's still really valuable. You have the TechCrunch logo on your website, you have it in the press section. It's a very valuable link for your business. So you can tweet and you're going to go back to that list every time. And again, 20 minutes a day with if you're 3 months out from really wanting to blow your company up, you will not need to spend any money because you will have a list of thousands of people you can email about, hey, we just launched this thing. Hey, I've got this story, this interview. I want to speak at your conference. I've got this valuable story about how AI is pushing the real estate industry forwards, blah, 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 blah. You'd be surprised when it's an offer, not an ask, how valuable it is. This is actually my favorite thing to teach founders. Everybody's way too wordy, you guys. And so when I do cold outreach, this one is for PR for a female founder I worked with in San Francisco a long time ago. I just really liked how successful this message was, and it's the archetype for every other outreach that I do. So I continue to use that as an example. You're only putting three things in your outreach message. First thing is, and it's all value focused. First thing is who I am, not, hey, I'm Andrew. I'm a bald loser from Oakland that does this and that. It's nothing that's not relevant. It's who I am as per the value for them. So, hey, I've got this thing. You see, I don't even announce my name in this because why do they care? The more things that their brain has to remember, the less they're going to be able to hone in on the thing that I really want them to see. So, the first thing, 20%, is the value, I mean, who I am in regards to the value for them. The second thing, which is 60% of it, is the value that I have for them. And then the last part, the 20%, is a call to action. I want them to look at this press release. Can you mute, please? I want them to book a meeting. I want them to respond to me. The shorter your message, the more replies you'll get. Anytime I use ChatGPT to write an email, before reading it, I'm always saying remove 50% of the text and make it very short, value packed. And sometimes the most successful email, especially to VCs, is like a one-line question and that they have to reply. The email filters do not recognize that you are not a known friend. If you say hey and you have a one-line question, if you say hello and you have a ton of information, it is very unlikely that you are a known contact of that person and you will go to spam. So if you say hey or hi, hey Lisa, I was wondering if you still cover Bay Area startups or travel startups or whatever, you get a likely response because they say yes or no, and that helps the open rate of your outreach and the quality of your sender status. But you also you get through. So okay. Um, some tips on speaking to the media. If you get that far, you don't say or I don't know. Practice it in the mirror. Like it's harder. I probably have said it 20 times on this call, but what I noticed is the smarter you sound, the more likely they are to write or report on your stuff. You don't want to talk as fast as I talk. You want to talk slowly, and that's because they are manually taking notes. Still to this day, I don't see. They do phone calls. I don't know why. They want to talk on the phone and manually write notes. So short answers, try not to repeat yourself. A lot of times, um, like Amit, when we get very long-winded in our founder responses, and we want to really hone in on 30-second answers anytime. But also, like if the first question a reporter asks is, "Tell me about why you started your company," and then you go into this wildly long arc, they're not going to report on any of that. So be careful there. And then the last thing, sometimes most important, don't tell them anything that's on the roadmap that's not you don't want publicly disclosed. Even if you say off the record, they don't remember and they don't care and they don't owe you anything.